Howdy everybody, how y'all doing? Well, today I want to talk to you about something that I went through as a kid growing up, and maybe you did too, or maybe you saw people going through this sort of thing, you know. I mean, we all have our angsty teen days, right? And people come up and say, oh, you know, it's just a phase, or, you know, it's just one of those generational things. You're going through it, sort of deal. You know, he's just a punk kid. You know, he'll grow out of it. You know what? Sure, there are some fashion trends, here notwithstanding, but maybe some clothes choices and maybe some other, I don't know, values that shifted. Probably less important, more tangential, if you will. You know, preferences change over time. Like the same way that your taste buds, they say, change every 7 or so years, right? So there's bound to be some shifts around over time. But you know what? What I'm talking about is more, well, when people come up talking about how, oh, it's you know, it's just a generational thing, or, you know, it's, the kids, they're, you know, it's, instead of sounding like an old fart geezer, why don't I just say it? You know, when each, the way I like to put it is, each generation is trying to oversteer, overcorrect, you know, from the faults and the issues that they found with the last generation. Now, whether it was because they were young, they didn't understand, and they tried to solve the problems in their own way, but the same problems that, like I said, maybe they didn't agree with the last generation, or maybe they saw the issues without really understanding the planning and reactions and response that went to the previous generation to decide that was the best course of action. Once again, oversteering the ship, over course correcting, like, yeah, when someone's trying to learn how to drive and they haven't really figured out how the steering wheel works and they're swerving back and forth in a parking lot, or, you know, when you're 10 years old and you're playing those video games like Cruising USA. Yeah, I was 10 years old playing Cruising USA once. And you think you gotta turn back and forth, and you somewhere, down the line, someone says, hey, if you just hold the wheel steady, you'll actually go forward. What a novel idea. Never would have known. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But here's the issue. So many times, you'll start seeing, you know, we'll call them the kids. They start having trends and they start saying things, and whether it started with the kids or they were just reacting and responding to things that they saw and they thought were cool, right? And well, at some point, those kids start growing up, and then you start having the chicken egg question, right? Was it really just the kids that decided to course correct and change? Or maybe, was it more of a shift in the society, or a paradigm shift, if you will, that the kids kind of caught on to in their own way while they were reacting, while the adults and everybody else was also catching on in a way to, whether it be technology, the Industrial Revolution, which I did not live through, but definitely technology is one thing that we could say we're all trying to learn how to deal with and cope with and understand, because the medium changes things, for sure. It doesn't change human nature, it doesn't change what we're all out to do, or whether we're out for ourselves or more altruistic, but it changes how we communicate, which, you know, the difference between text messages versus in person, where you can understand the emotion better. I mean, we all know, we've made jokes about it, but it really does change how we interpret the world around us, right? So, where am I going with this? Well, you start seeing, I would say, the societal shift, and I don't know when we can trace it back to, but, you know, for a long time, you heard the phrase, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it, right? Well, I get that. I mean, there's a lot of people that they're too stubborn, and they think they know better, and they're still young and brazen and invincible, that sometimes that backfires for them, right? Well, and then you have the next effect of that, right? The next stage is just you don't want to either acknowledge what existed, or because of your own ideals, you decide that what came before just is wrong, that the building blocks to get to where you understand life, or science, or belief, or technology, that where they were at that point in time in the building blocks and the, you know, building up the high rise or the skyscrapers, if you will, of, I don't know, a metaphor. And, well, if you go back and you say the 21st floor shouldn't exist, okay, well, you rename it. But if you say the structures and the support beams and, you know, everything, the empirical evidence that we based all these premises and ideas on, you decide they're wrong, and say it's a, I don't know, 60, 70 story building, and you decide to take out levels 20 through 28 because you don't like them, well, what do you expect is going to happen to the rest of the stories? Literally and figuratively at this point in entertainment. And all the structure and all the ideas built on that. I mean, if you want to be like Miley Cyrus and come in like a wrecking ball, I mean, I don't quite understand, because there's so much carnage and so many things just discarded. Beautiful artwork, creative minds, some great theories and ideas just thrown out the window. All for what? To reinvent the wheel? I mean, as I previously stated, human and, well, puppet nature doesn't really change that much over the years. So, when you decide to knock out all of the support beams, what are you really left with? You know, when you think about all the reports and all the things coming out about our entertainment, whether it be comic books, because I think we've gone from the gold era age to the silver age, to the bronze, to the iron. I'm not sure what age we're on now, but it's kind of descending, right? We'll probably get clay age soon. Who knows? And then you have all these big companies that have been built, say, over the last century, that seem to have focused on destroying the core values, the, I don't know, the principles, the ideas that they stood on, which created them to be such a monolith and such a influence in, well, people's understanding of the world and entertainment, but even speaking to people's formative years and helping them understand life. I mean, that's a pretty significant place and a pretty significant height to fall from. Now, maybe it's just human nature that doing the same thing for too long just starts feeling stale and boring, and you want to do something different, right? I get that, but sometimes all it takes is just a step back to recalibrate, to realize what you're doing has a purpose. But if you've lost the heart of the purpose, the reason, or the values that... And it's one thing as a person to kind of have shifts, but as a company or a ideology, I mean, it's like Batman. He was the hero we needed, not the one that we deserved. But he had to be a symbol, right? I know that he's a comic character and he's not real. But that ideal transcended things and spoke to us as readers, as participants in the, letting the lore develop over the years. Just like the characters of Gotham needed a hero that they could believe in, right? Well, or maybe it's like they say that you live long enough to become the villain. I don't know. Or maybe it goes back to the whole idea of a charismatic leadership cycle where after the third generation everything falls to crap and you're waiting for somebody else to come in who cares, or it's gonna burn it down, or not really, but I mean that metaphorically speaking, but more of somebody's gonna, like the phoenix that rises from the ashes and make it something brand new again, with passion and principle. I guess we're kind of waiting to see what happens, because this whole blaming the kids for trying to tear down everything that came before, it seems like all the adults are just as petty and trying to make a name for themselves too. I don't know. I'm not sure where we're gonna end up. Do I think creativity has died? Not a chance. Do I believe the spark of humanity and puppets alike is still there? Do we have hope for something tomorrow that our character and our desires and our passions will still grow and connect us and allow us to create something amazing once again? I don't think we ever stopped. Just, it's really hard right now with everything going on in the world. But you know what? Don't lose that creative spirit, that fighting spirit, that passion for life, because I promise you're not the only one who has it, who feels it, who wants to share it. So, some people have gotten complacent in where they are, and sometimes they'll just take a little time to remember, and sometimes it's time to let the next generation, so to speak, or whoever's next in line to step up and take a chance. The whole thing about lightning striking twice, it can, but do you want to be there in the same spot when it does? Or do you want to keep on moving and keep on pressing forward? Well, I know what I want to do. So, let me know what y'all think, and whether it be at a really old rodent out in the entertainment world, or what else is going on. I know there's a lot. So, sorry it's been a while, but it's good to be back. Well, till next time, bye.